1, 2, 3.
Sunday dinners. Hey, oh, hey. Sunday dinners. Hey, oh, hey. Sunday dinners. Hey, oh, hey. Sunday dinners.
Yes.
33. I remember. No.
33. See, I wouldn't have given you that.
It's all the vegetables.
Yeah, I know. VeggieTales.
It is.
Okay, would you start?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Dinners. This is a podcast for people who have given up on church, but not on the Lord and Savior, our Jesus Christ. Do you know whenever you are at dinner somewhere and you are with your family, it's somebody's house, and then you just have great conversation, and that conversation has no boundaries, and it may end in a fist fight or a hug. We do not
Either
know.
one.
That is what this space is for. And listen, if you're looking for a conclusion, you won't find it here. But what we offer is different perspective and how to love people where they are. So, welcome. And with us, we have to my right,
Far right, Ryan Gwill. I am the producer of this podcast. This is echoing really bad. And I am a member of UCity and got some of my best buddies here with me. And
right.
just trying to
he's talking about me.
follow Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, he's talking
Take a
about
pause, everyone. Guess his age. Don't say it. Do, 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 do. How old are you, Ryan?
33.
33. He eats lots of vegetables, so
VeggieTales.
Keith thought he was 25. Okay, I am Maria Furlow. I am the associate pastor at UCity, although it's still, still getting used to saying that. I'll get there someday. Just really passionate about who UCity is, and especially this podcast giving space for people who might not feel comfortable stepping into church.
That's right.
Hearing a little bit about who God is.
And I am Pastor T. I'm the lead pastor of UCity, the church. And to my left.
To your left is, me.
You,
I'm Keith Richardson. I am a life coach, and I feel a little inspired to be a pastor in training after being with all these people.
Wow.
But,
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Woo, you heard it here, folks.
Wow.
yeah, we're gonna take this part out, but I am
We don't
really
do that
happy. I'm happy to be here, and I am an advocate for conversations that bring people closer to God and to themselves.
Yeah. He
That
is.
awesome.
He really is. And if you can guess, this podcast is called Black Against White.
Yep. We trapped Keith into this conversation. He did not know
For
he
sure.
was getting
I don't know where my keys are, but I will find out.
We took them.
So what do we got?
Okay,
Mafia?
so it's nice that we can just laugh about that. All right. So this is a UCity the Church podcast. And at UCity, we are a multi-ethnic church where we Ryan.
Meet God in new ways.
Yes, we meet God in new ways. We
Love people where they are.
love people where they are, and we follow Jesus boldly. And so this is our honest attempt to be real, but also a little bit light, because honestly, it's not light right now. In our culture, in our world, it doesn't feel light. But we have been at this multi-ethnic thing now for 4 years. And so we just wanted to take the opportunity to attempt a multicultural conversation on the podcast.
That's right.
And
Lord help us.
Keith got forced into it because he was on our previous 2 podcasts on authenticity.
Yeah, and I don't know how you guys thought it was a good idea to have me, because when he
This is
he
great.
talked about, you can have fist fights and stuff, and I'm like, this might be the first fist
we'll
fight.
see.
I'm pretty combative.
We will see.
I'm kidding.
We are not scared. We're a little scared. Okay, so again, this is going to be the light-ish version. So first question: what is your cultural background as a human being?
Black.
Is that it?
That is it.
Where are you from?
I'll take
From Blacktown.
Oh my gosh.
No,
I'm sure that's a town.
No. I am
Blacktown.
Well, we were in your town last week.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
we were in the
Yes.
town of Terrell.
That's-
There's a Terrell town in North Carolina.
I was like, y'all in
Yeah, I took them to my. I took them.
I think
to
they
my
called
city.
it Terrell though.
Yeah, Terrell, and they say it wrong, but it's
Texas?
fine. It's fine. No,
No, it's like a
and
half hour
that's my
from here.
other town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's something that I'm working on
Tell you.
privately. That that is
That's not on the map.
yeah.
But
It will
you
be
might have
soon.
actually been the first black person there
Yes,
Oh.
in real life,
in real life.
probably the first black person to step into that Publix that we went into. But I am African American. A lot of people think I am African, but I am African American. Raised. Is this a question?
Yes.
Okay, raised. Am I? I'm like, okay. Raised. No,
you
I
can
was,
answer however you want.
I spent a lot of raised in 2 different hoods for a beginning part of my life. One was called we called it Shankentown, and the other one we call it Fishytown. And then in high school moved to China Grove.
You did?
Is,
I don't know what
which
that
is like
means.
2 stoplights in KKK capital. So
That's where my mom grew up.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is getting deep already.
It is surprising
that's
that Terrell lived there.
No, yeah, I did. Lived there for.
You said.
I had to cut him off before he said anything too bad about the
No, that's why I'm
He
like,
started talking about
I'm
my
like,
grandma.
like KKK time, and then he's like, oh, I'm like,
No,
Hold on.
I've had some life experiences there that for sure that I still carry with me a little twitching here and there. But and so that man, and I believe that was purposeful of God. And so I grew up in a black church, Pentecostal, so blackity black, where they roll on the floor and drool, and then they cut each other out right after service. And so
Is that where Keith gets it from?
clearly you can tell we're from the same culture.
because this side of the couch got it. And so, yeah, that is my coach. Black against white,
Terrell
y'all.
made us sit here, by the way.
Yeah, they chose this.
It was just the easiest.
yeah.
It was just the easiest.
This segregation.
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
Let's be a family. And
Okay,
then y'all just
we
chose
are
them.
all right. We are taking opportunities on this podcast to have non-judgmental learning opportunities. So,
Okay.
can you please explain? You said you are African American, and people think that you're African. So please explain that.
Well, so my wife came here as Nigerian.
So can I say this, because this is why I shouldn't have said on this side, because black people always, we're like, you said non-judgmental, and it's this whole we listen and don't judge, but
Yeah.
I'm like grunting the whole time he talking and stuff, and it's just like, it's just so black. He's like, so I'm like, whoa, like, what? And so
Okay, well,
So he's judging.
we should have,
okay.
Ryan should have been over here. I should have been
We
over
should.
there.
That's what I said for the
No,
record.
that's what I said, and y'all wanted to.
Oh, he's straight up
Well, you know me, I
lying.
wasn't even thinking about it. So.
I don't want to be divided.
Y'all just wanted to, divide. No, so a lot of people get mixed up. They think that I am African because I have African features, big nose, big lips.
Okay, that's all right.
And then that she's African American.
But
And
what's the
Haiti.
difference between an African and an African American?
Oh, just who's been here longer.
You know what?
Because I'm trying to.
I'm glad I stayed for this one,
I'm
because
trying
this, this
No,
right.
no, there is no.
You explained it because Kemi's parents.
Kimmy's
Are
parents. Kimmy's parents for first generation.
I have a lot of experience. Just let me explain it.
Thank
okay?
you, Ryan. Go ahead. Let's try.
Thanks. Let Ryan.
No, Kimmy's parents are first generational African
From
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay.
And I don't know where am I.
This
This is not starting off. This is not starting off.
Listen.
Oh, God.
This is.
Wait, but
I don't
first
know.
generation is
Just
still
lost my
not
bloodline.
African American.
You said what?
So she was born here.
Kimmy was.
Yes.
Kimmy was born here. Sorry.
Kimmy was born here.
So, but she's still. I mean, she's still African American, right? She's just more
She
African
is, and
than
she
American.
is African American. Yes, because she was born here. But that's
But
it.
people tend to, if their parents are from a place, I feel like they're more likely to like. Well, I guess anybody. Like sometimes people just want to have more ties to where they think.
But she maybe would
Right.
consider herself like still African since she's the first
Right.
among her family here. Yeah.
And typically, even when true Africans move to America, they still hold dear to their cultural practices and stuff. So they kind of still, their children still feel like, oh, we're African.
Yeah.
We're just here. So
Well, also because all of the different African countries have different cultural practices and ties.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I don't know if that
Thank you
answered
for
your
that.
question.
No, it did.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's
I don't
better
know
than
why it
who's
was so
here-
hard.
Who's here
but
longer?
yes.
It's just a lot of, there are a few things that I held back saying. So
Why did you hold them
that's
back?
why. Next question, please. No.
Yeah,
We're trying to get somewhere here.
No, we are. They are just. I don't know. I usually would say them, and you know I don't have a problem
That's
saying
why.
it.
That's why I don't
Right.
know why you're not saying them.
Yeah. Because, and you asked what is the difference between African and African American.
Because
And
I've
I was
heard
about
you
to
explain
say,
that to other people
just
just
who-
fine. But
who-
when I ask on the
Who
podcast,
just arrived first and how they arrived?
oh,
Was it willingly or
right. Why didn't you?
or was it forcefully?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm. I actually think that is something, because we had that conversation one time and it actually really, it made me sad because my dad has done like the deep dive. I know, like, my goodness, like all this Italian, French, I don't know who slept with somebody who bought a name, like this whole situation.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you.
Yeah, that's not something. I mean, I can do my best. I mean, we can, and they can guess, but who knows what is actually the case. So I cannot probably look back and see who my great grandfather is, but like maybe because of my blood, you can say, okay, you're from this area, but that's about it.
But can you like just say like the flat out, like hard, straight, like why?
Why? What?
I honestly don't think that everybody has thought this like far deep to understand.
Oh, why?
Yes.
Why I cannot
Yes.
go that like why I can't search that far?
Yeah.
Oh well, because I mean, when was slavery abolished? What's the date?
1890.
I mean, there are
segregation ended in
separate dates.
Segregation ended in. Well, because first there was. It ended, but then it didn't end in Texas until like decades later, and then segregation.
Yep. So here, Google AI says 1865.
So
1865. So let's do the math.
1865. Okay.
Let's do 2025 minus 1865. 160 years ago. 160 years is 2 lifetimes. A person would
people.
live to 80, 60, 67,
we've
80.
been friends for 150.
That's right.
Yeah,
One.
yeah, so-
It was 250 by the end of the podcast.
So really, maybe if I'm lucky, I can go back 2 lifetimes to see who my ancestors were. But we came over here as animals, literally, and so everything was stripped from us. And so, I mean, that's really how far you can go back.
You can't
see.
you can't track.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, That is why. That's why. That's the direct answer.
Mm-hmm. So is it, and then 1900 to 1939 is the segregation era, and then 1964 is Civil Rights Act.
Mm-hmm.
Still is very recent history.
Yeah,
Very.
very recent.
Okay.
Me. Okay. So I am African American, and I grew up in a small town called Lexington, North Carolina, and grew up in church. I grew up in a Baptist church, but then I kind of migrated to a church that claimed to be non-denominational, which I still feel like has very much Baptist roots. Well, it's kind of a melting pot.
So, but Baptist isn't is not charismatic, right?
No. And so the church was non-denominational, and then they pretty much adopted a word of faith type of denomination, which is not charismatic either. They typically lean to the side of being pretty conservative in their praise.
In their praise.
So,
Not
but we
much
were a little
rolling
bit more radical. That's why I'm saying I don't know what we were, but anyway, I definitely have roots in a Baptist denomination from my grandmother and family in that way. And I've had my upbringing because of where I grew up. I did always have a mixture or a diverse group of friends, because there were times where I went to all white schools. There was times where I went to a mixture. So just I've always kind of.
When you say all white schools, you mean like you were the only African American?
Yeah, and I definitely couldn't fill up a whole hand.
Oh wow.
Full of how many African Americans, and we weren't friends. The ones that did, and what I consider the all white schools. So we were separate enough that it was like, oh my God, a black girl. So yeah, it was me. I went because typically where I was from, like the county schools and stuff, they were more white dominated in those type of suburban. Well, now we call them suburbs, but when I grew up, it was the country. And so yeah, that was kind of my upbringing, but it definitely helped me to relate with a lot of and relate and be able to adapt to a lot of different situations in life, period, because of the diversity of my exposure. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
I don't have any hard questions for you.
No
yet.
hard questions.
Okay.
Wow.
Who's next?
You're welcome.
Wow.
Okay, you're next.
I'm next.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in a town called Troutman. It is how it sounds.
Is that country? I'm not from around here, so I need some geographical context.
It was country.
Okay.
2 stoplights.
Was it like
It is as country as China Grove.
okay.
Yes.
China Grove may be a little bit more
It's more. It's
progressive.
no.
No, or less.
I don't
Less?
think less.
Okay,
I think
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why. We're just closer. So we're small. It was a small town, but we were in between 2 larger towns, between a town called Mooresville and Statesville, which were larger. But it was interesting because, but the mixture that we had was very interesting. Like, it was very country, so as you would think, like a lot of white people. But we had like a really strong Hispanic community that really seemed to, as I graduated out of high school and my brother was coming through, like that's where a really strong influence from Hispanic culture came from. But we grew up playing soccer, so we saw all the Hispanic culture as well. But then you had Mooresville, which was...
I thought it was Mooresville.
Mooresville. Yes, sorry.
Mooresville.
Mooresville.
I don't know.
Mooresville.
What to say.
So anyways, we were kind of the country in between like really 2 different types of towns. But that had kind of different cultures. But we were close enough to everything where it didn't feel like we were out in the middle of nowhere, kind of like Lexington, sort of. It's like you're close to Winston in these areas where, you know, there is a city-ish style that's
Oh
close by.
yeah, we thought Winston was like
the big city.
big city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
funny.
So two stoplights. Now growing up though, I don't know how far we want to go into this right now, but growing up, like my friends and I, nobody wanted to be like, we weren't like country. Like we were listening to hip hop. We wanted to be, you know, everybody wanted to be the next rapper, you know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we weren't like, even though we were in the country, I would say like not until we got older did that really somehow come out and like really sit with us, and like our parents' countryness really like stuck in. But like really, I feel like hip hop culture and all the pop culture really just had a hold of us like when we were younger going through. But
And I think that you have a cool echo, Ryan, coming in from me. Hello?
oh,
Can you hear it?
from this?
I can hear it over
Sure.
here. But China Grove is like Troutman, like in between, like not major, but not quite major, but like Salisbury, and which is still and Kannapolis. So kind of that like that same feel, and maybe probably the same culture. And I'm not joking. The KKK had their rallies in the field behind my house, and you could look down behind the shed and see it
In
all
China
happening
Grove.
in China Grove.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were these just guys on tractors and that's your imagination?
No,
Or like,
no, it was real. It was real, and they didn't dress up as in the movies like that. Only a few did, and so there was like a few people, and they were very prominent. But the fire is real. The big tall fire, that's real. And then there would be. It seemed like the leaders were like in the robes and stuff.
You also said that you grew up in the hood. What yeah, I don't.
He got around.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't recall that experience.
This is before you. So Fishertown was from it was a Kannapolis from birth until 8th grade, and so I would spend half of my time there and half of my time in Shankytown and Concord with my grandparents from 8 to 5 a.m. during the day.
Oh.
And that was
You're
good
talking
too.
about over there where your grandmother and
Yeah.
your grandfather live.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's Shankytown. And then
Got you.
What?
Fishertown
How do
was
you
like that.
define hood?
why can't you ask Keith this?
You know, you asking
Okay,
the right
Keith,
person.
how do you define hood?
I have no clue. I've never been to
Well,
one.
we
No, I'm
just-
kidding.
You just call it.
You know, I would say it's for me. It's an urban area that full of a lot of
Where are your grandparents? You said that urban?
really.
That wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was.
That's
It was
urban? You
Yes.
consider urban?
Yeah,
Yes.
if you go for a ride down
Confused
that
about
street,
urban.
you would know that it's for sure urban. It's
And then what's
nothing-
the definition of urban?
Okay.
Okay. Oh my God. Urban.
Well,
Go ahead,
so
Ryan.
Rel gave me some stories of him growing up.
There
So
you go.
But I want to
don't
know
know if this
the
has to do
meaning
with
of
urban,
urban
but-
and hood.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
okay.
okay. So when I say it's an urban area, meaning that it's predominantly black, and there are a lot of disenfranchised black people there who live in poverty,
Okay.
and you can really tell by the environment. Like you just riding down the streets, you'll see the type of people walking, drug addicts, and just like
Absolutely.
at any point. And it's so funny because even thinking about my upbringing, where my grandmother lived in Lexington, in kind of the city, but it was similar surroundings but I wasn't even afraid of what we call crackheads. Like it's because they were just a part of the community. Like it was just like, oh, okay. And my grandmother would feed some of them, and I don't know where they lived or how because I don't even know if some of them actually had homes, but I think those were my first experiences with homelessness and drug addictions and those things around me. So yeah, that's what I would consider those urban hoods.
Yep, urban hoods. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you saw it in the neighborhood because of gentrification. Gentrification flipped.
Okay.
And so you didn't really get to see the version that I grew up in.
Okay. Well, this is honest on moment. Do you feel?
Wait, you didn't give us yours?
I will in a second.
Okay.
I'm taking captive this opportunity. Would you have defined urban like that? Just yes or no?
I feel like the urban definition is where a lot of Black people live.
Okay. I would not have known that. Would you expect for me to know how to define that? Or think I should?
I feel like you would have a roundabout.
Okay. Because I just feel like I've heard that used wrong.
Urban, well, like urban in its context. Urban is like busy streets, buildings or whatever.
Yeah, like close to a heavy populated
Yeah,
area.
but
heavy
that's
populated area.
Why?
But that's not how you
Keith
say
said urban hood.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Urban
Okay.
hood. Yeah.
So what? So urban hood.
Is there a difference between the term urban community, hood community?
We're gonna see.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah,
there is. Urban is
for sure.
Urban
Let
is
me see what
Washington D.C. Urban is New York. Urban is
right.
Urban is some parts of Charlotte. Urban is right. Compare urban hood though. Then there's country hoods, but like urban hood.
Country hood.
There's Chicago. What side is that? No, so
Okay.
Denoting popular Black culture in general. So that's part of one of the definitions of urban in the dictionary.
Okay.
And that's where you grew up, urban.
Oh my gosh.
You grew up urban,
bro. What did I call it one time? And you're like, you can't call it that. What did I call it? Did I say the hood? I didn't say the hood. What did I say?
Yeah. No, and you did.
I said the hood.
And I was like,
and you said no, you
like,
didn't. You can't say that.
Yeah, you.
I grew up in. I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
Connecticut, and I was part of like a series of towns that was called the Valley. So if you're from Connecticut,
like the show,
so none of you guys know because you're not.
Nope.
But if I'm talking to somebody a different part of Connecticut, they're like, "Oh, you're from the Valley," and then there's some, connotations. I'm sure that would have. Yeah, it's probably for a different podcast.
What are the connotations?
No,
it's
not.
I love that because so you grew up northern.
Oh yes, I am. Yes, so that is what there is a whole ton. I grew up in Connecticut. My family is from New York. I think my great grandparents were from Italy. Came over.
Great grandparents
from Italy. Yeah. So my grandparents are not, but they're, and so it's actually funny. Brent Campbell, he preached last week.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at Lake Forest with missions, and Brent was one of our supporting missionaries, and I was meeting him for the first time, just getting to know each other. And he's like, "Can I just ask you something?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Are you white?" I was like, "I'm from Connecticut. It's in the South, things are just talked about way different that I didn't really fully realize until UCity, where we started actually having some of these conversations." And he was asking me about he wanted to know my heritage as Italian, but I did not know. I was like, I felt like it was a trick question. But my family heritage is very Italian, fully Italian on my dad's side. My mom's side is Italian and Irish, which is
so you're white-ish.
It's a special combination.
White-ish. She's white-ish.
But the southern northern thing is just it's a real part of life. Noticing the differences. So culturally, you guys are all southern, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we go back to what connotations does
the Valley
does a person from the Valley have?
Yeah.
Oh, you asked us all the questions.
But that's not.
It doesn't have to define you.
Okay, she's a Valley girl's very friendly.
That's why we need him. You had to be on the couch. Thank you. That was great.
That was nice and positive.
A girl from the Valley's very friendly. She's friendly.
Okay. I'm thinking friendly means something else.
Yeah, it's friendly. Spunky. Spunky, mouthy, probably. Mouthy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
like
really
TV
country
shows.
to you. Like the dialects.
Yes. Yeah, but country is the thing. Like, I mean, I didn't grow up. I mean, I grew up an hour and a half outside New York, so maybe that. But like, geographically, you would look around and it would look very similar to where I'm from, but there's not country. I mean, there were definitely northern rednecks. That is for sure a thing.
Whoa! Whoa! We're gonna start throwing out slang like that because no one has talked about rednecks at all. We said country.
Right. I
Those are
know.
different.
She was the only one.
I was talking about a different topic.
She was the only one.
Oh, you looked at me when you said redneck. your neck almost snapped, and you turned over here and looked at me. And I just want to clarify that. Now, I'm not saying I'm not, but that is not a term that I have ever used to describe myself or my family.
Wow.
I didn't even realize I looked at you.
Yeah, you were there and you went here.
Well, you should look
I'm
over
just
and
sharing
tell
the
him.
room.
Well, it doesn't have to define you.
It doesn't have to define you.
It doesn't have to define
Well, I just want to be clear as
because
we're
you grew up in hip hop culture.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, my favorite.
Hip hop culture.
My favorite redneck northern family said, just make sure when you go to a party, you back in. So when you're drunk, you can just easy find your way out. It's like the street knowledge.
See, that's funny because we back in for another reason.
What are you back
That's
in?
To get the hell out of there. That's what happened.
But that's
and
not
what y'all
me.
call
I'm just-
urban.
Urban context is that
Urban.
you back in, so when they
back
start
in.
shooting, you fly out of
get
there,
out fast.
Yep.
Have you ever been shot at?
Yeah.
Hey guys, that was part 1 of our cultural conversation here at UCity, the church. Pastor Terrell has named it Black vs. White. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but please tune in for part 2, where we will have more conversation.